Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time I'm cracking open a completely random review, and since it is the Easter holiday, I decided to play a little game. I put together a playlist of Easter related movies, specifically Easter horror films, because I'm a fan of horror movies, and I decided to play some Easter horror roulette. And much to my horror, the film I wound up choosing and the film that I just finished witnessing was Beaster Day. Here Comes Peter Cottonhell. And as you can see by my expression, it was quite a hellish film to sit through. This movie is easily one of the worst that I have ever seen. And I'm not exaggerating. I know some people are like, oh, you're over exaggerating. Come on. No, this is right up there with shit like The Alien Dead and Howling 7 New Moon Rising. It shares all the same horrible hallmarks as those pieces of shit had. Terrible production values, awful acting, literally nearly non-existent plot line, no suspense, no intrigue, zero likable characters, threadbare production values, all of those things that get combined together into an absolutely awful smelling shit slurry that gets poured down your throat and makes you want to vomit. Okay? All of those fucking things are in this movie. Now, I am not kidding when I say that Beaster Day, or as it is also known in other places as the Beaster Bunny, get it? Because Easter. So this movie is a giant, stinking, sulfurous, rotten egg. And it really will ruin your Easter if you decide to watch this movie. So do yourself a favor. Just don't watch this movie on Easter. Don't play the game I did. It was stupid. Don't risk it, because it really will. It will ruin your holiday. It will take a giant steaming piss all over it. So Beaster Day, Here Comes Peter Cottonhell, is a film directed by Jon Bacchus. Now, Jon Bacchus is the same cinematic auteur, the same Oscar-winning genius who brought you such award-winning films as Zombies and Vampires. I'm surprised he didn't put a Z at the end of this title. Have the Beaster, Beaster Days. But anyway, no, that would be the sequel. If this movie ever had a sequel, it would be Beaster Days with a Z. Now, this guy also directed other movies, but saying he directed them is really giving him a lot of credit. He had a camera. Okay, he had a camera and he put it in front of some actors and he shot some scenes. That's really what happened. He did the same thing that he does with the porno films that he directs, which he should stick to, really, because that seems to be more of his wheelhouse and definitely something that fits his caliber of talent better than directing a feature film. Like this film, it definitely looks like a movie that's directed by a porno director, for sure. I mean, there are multiple different scenes in it that are just strictly something that you would see in a porn that he would have directed. Oh, a giant Easter bunny is chasing after some woman. She's tending to her garden in the backyard, and she happens to also be wearing a really skimpy top that gets torn off, and she runs around topless while the monster chases her. And there's multiple zooms on her tits. In some cases, just doesn't make any sense why it zooms in that way, but, hey, tits. There's other scenes where, let's watch this woman stretch while she's getting ready to climb a rock in the middle of the woods for some reason, and let's do a up close, really tight, extreme close up on her tits. It's just one of those things that's like, yeah, this guy clearly loves him some tits and ass, and who doesn't? I get it. But if I want to see that, I'll watch it in a porno for free. I don't have to pay for that. Also, if I want to see that in a horror movie, I'll just watch a better horror movie. I'll watch a better slasher film that has tits and ass that doesn't fucking suck. So anyway, Jon Bacchus he didn't even want to back this film because he didn't even put his name on the credits. He uses a pseudonym. And actually not a pseudonym, he uses pseudonyms. His opinion of this movie is so low that he used pseudonyms. He used the pseudonyms of the Snig brothers. So, John Bacchus, or the Snig brothers, were responsible for bringing this just abomination into this world. And he also wrote the film as well. So he's the one responsible for the multitude of just bad dialogue, unlikable characters, and the fairly invisible plot. Which, I honestly, what plot is there? There's a giant Easter bunny that shows up, eats a fucking asshole in the beginning of the movie, who does a really unfunny set at his dad's wedding. And by set, I mean he does some fucking really terrible, tasteless stand-up. He gets eaten by the Beaster Bunny off camera, and his reactions to having his hand bitten off are classic. I mean, wow. I mean, I've definitely seen better acting in a grade school play. He's just his hand bitten off, and he's like, ah! That's honestly, and that's a common theme throughout this movie. It's just this really terrible acting and just unbelievably inauthentic reactions to this monster and to people being attacked or to themselves being attacked. I mean, there's one of those topless women. They get attacked by the Beaster Bunny, and she runs around with it like a chicken with her head cut off, and then goes around, ah, ah. I'm not, I know for some people it sounds entertaining, but trust me, it's not. It's just cringe-inducing. It's weapons grade cringe. So yeah, you have this Beaster Bunny shows up, kills this fucking asshole, and then it starts eating random people in this small town in Nowheresville, USA. You have this group of dog catchers who work for this company called Dog Catchers in the Rye. Get it? Because catcher in the rye, dog catcher. This is the type of brilliant humor that you will get in this movie. That for some reason some critics online think is great. Yeah, there are multiple reviews of this movie online from bloggers and shit that say it's a great fun movie. 4 out of 5 stars. It's got great humor. Where is this great humor? I think I need an electron microscope to see it, if it exists, because I don't see it on screen. So yeah, the dog catchers in the Rye group, and there's this guy named Doug, who's kind of the lead, who's a complete and utter twat, who's unlikable, who's a crazy asshole. That's a common theme. Everybody seems to be an asshole in this, or a bitch, or just unlikable in some way or another. Which is just a great recipe for a movie, isn't it? You know, sprinkle in a lot of fucking way too much salt. It's always great for anything. You know, hey, you know what something needs? You know what that recipe needs to really kick things up another notch? A whole fucking block of salt. That's what it needs. So anyway, these characters are all just too salty, really unlikable, don't go down well at all. And the one that gets most of the screen time is the most unlikable one of all. It's just this really annoying, unfunny loser named Doug who stuffs his pants with socks and shit, and there's even a scene where he puts a stuffed Easter bunny in his pants. And then later in the film he wears these skin tight pants. It's like leggings or something, and he puts a fucking golf tee in there for some reason, I guess to make it look like he's got a bigger dick. Because that's a running gag throughout the film, him stuffing his fucking pants. Oh, it's so fucking funny, man. He stuffed his pants. My opinion, this guy can just stuff himself in a trunk and die. But, you know, the guy Doesn't. You think he would die early on, just like the fucking asshole wannabe comedian in the beginning? But that's not what happens. He survives. He lasts all the way to the end of the movie. And other than him, you have this girl named Brenda, who is a failed actress, opera singer, and artist. And she moves back to this town because of she failed as an actress. Moves back in with her dad, who wants to give her some tough love and everything or whatever. Tries to force her to stay there, and then reluctantly she becomes the hero at the end. Much to the applause of exactly nobody in the audience. Like, who cares? There's no reason to care about anyone in this movie. You don't like them. They don't have any charisma. There's nothing about their characters that really make them interesting. There's no suspense because there are all these different attacks in this movie by this Beaster Bunny, but they're all poorly done, and they all happen pretty close to one another, and they all end fairly similarly with really bad CGI gore. With a body part or two on the ground. That's really all that happens. And why should we really care about any of these kills? Because you don't get to know any of these characters. And unlike some of these other movies, creature features, like for example something like Q the Winged Serpent, where yes, you have random people who get attacked by the monster, there isn't a subplot or another plot in the film that is engaging enough to make those attacks actually have some sort of weight or actually feel like they're more than just filler. And that's really what a lot of these attacks are in this movie, is filler. This film did not have a story that was in-depth enough or worthy enough for an hour and 20-something minutes. And it shows. This is a film that has a story that at best can be like 10, 15 minutes. And even then it would still suck. But it might not suck as much because then you're not fucking around with people's time and just really squeezing the life out of them while they watch your movie as it painfully unfolds right in front of their own eyes. It's one of those things that's like, maybe this should have been a student short film and stayed that way, or a 30-minute porno parody and not an hour and 25-minute long movie. I will give the movie this. The stop motion effects of the Beaster Bunny have a certain charm to them. It was fun to see stop motion effects again. Haven't seen the stop motion effects in that many films as of late. So that was a nice little touch. Doesn't save the movie though, because it doesn't really look like an Easter bunny. It looks more like a giant mutated radioactive roadkill squirrel than a bunny, than a rabbit. And I mean, I'm bringing up the kills because the kills, like, it's not like one of those gory movies like, oh man, the gore is good. No, the gore is bad. So you have film that has tits and ass, fine, I can get that in a porno or a better horror movie. Then you have gore, but it's bad gore, so it's not like it's one of those movies that has good gore that kind of makes up for some of its shortcomings. It's just really amateur, pathetic CGI gore. Well, it's CGI blood, basically bits where people are laying on the ground and they digitally erase certain parts of the body and throw in like shitty gore effects in there. Just all kinds of shit involved with that. There's a few moments where there's practical blood, but it doesn't really have that much of an impact. Because there's one scene where there's a decent amount of it where a fucking dumbass trips and falls on his trophy that has a thumbs up. And it's clearly made out of like some cheap plastic. And I guess somehow it magically turned into rock hard metal and stabs him in the chest and causes him to projectile bleed. I'm like, how? It's a fucking cheap plastic trophy that you get at the dollar store. There's no way, even if you tripped and fell onto a stump with the fucking thing on it, there's no way it's going to stab you fatally. It's not going to happen. So, So yeah, that's other than that, that's like where you see the most blood is in stuff like, scenes like that. I mean, even when the Beaster Bunny gets killed, there's no blood. What? It gets shot with a few shots from a shotgun by our heroine, Brenda, and it just goes down way too easily, if you ask me. There's a scene where there's like a tank, but it's never used in the movie. Why? Why didn't somebody get the tank later? I don't care if it was a toy tank that you used later to go up against a stop motion bunny. It's better than just shooting it with a shotgun a few times. This monster that's going around wreaking all kinds of havoc, eating everything that moves, and it gets killed in like with 4 shots from a shotgun. Not even 4 shots, it's like 2 or 3. But anyway, okay, all right, I gotta get back to the movie. I'm sorry. Like, this is gonna be one of those old school rants where I'm just going all over the place. So yeah, there really is not much of a plot. It's just giant killer Easter rabbit goes around eating people in a small town. It's up to some dog catchers group to try to stop it. They fail miserably. The mayor does nothing because he's a dumbass and he's high all the time, and he should be good. He would be better off solving mysteries with fucking Scooby Doo. And so, and I just don't even want to talk about this movie anymore. It's just thinking about it just makes me irritated. So, okay, I've already forgotten about most of it. I literally just finished watching it, folks. That's how much of an impression Beaster Day left on me. So yeah, the story, not much. I don't think there would have been that much to save it, even if it had a decent story, because the characters are awful. When you have bad characters, you more than likely end up having a bad story, because without good characters, with some charisma at least, or something about them character-wise that makes them likable and engaging, you just have a completely uninteresting parade of events that really doesn't click. It doesn't resonate. And yeah, this is definitely one of those movies. It doesn't help either that, like I was saying, the gore is really bad, and then in the death scenes, the acting is bad, and it's not like it's endearing or anything. It's just cringe. It's just cringe inducing. Probably like this review is for a lot of people, and I'm sorry. There's not much to go off of. There's not much for me to really say. It's 1 hour and 25 minutes of a crappy looking stop motion puppet roadkill rabbit eating people. And there's some fucking crazy twat who looks like a poor man's Adam Driver, who's going around just being obnoxious and annoying, and there's just half-assed attempts at humor. Like, there's even a scene in the movie where they reference a line from Aliens that just made me shake my head. I mean, there's this meeting with the dog catchers in the Rye, the employees, and the boss goes in and he says, "Please, somebody wake up Hicks. Could somebody wake up Hicks?" It's like, fuck you, movie. Really? You could bring up Aliens? I get it. The producer or the writer or the director or all three, probably the same person, liked Aliens, so he wanted to put a little homage there, but it comes across as absolutely disrespectful because you're putting a homage to a much better film in your piece of shit. Don't do that. I mean, even if I liked Aliens and I knew I was making some low-budget horror movie, I wouldn't homage it, because why? Why do that? To me, that's just spitting in the face of something I love. Putting it in a movie that has potential to be a piece of shit. So, try to think of anything else to really mention. I mean, the music is just stock music that they got from a website. They even listed on the end credits. The direction is amateur hour. Looks exactly like what it is. Direction from a porno guy. The acting is awful. There's one, the actress who plays, I think her name is, yeah, Brenda. Marisol Custodio is like the one actress in the entire cast, or actor period, that is adequate, but that's not saying much. But she's okay. Everyone else, though, is varying degrees of awful, especially the lead, who plays Doug, Peter Sullivan, who did not act again after this, and for good reason, because he can't do it. He can't act to save his life, and he did us all a favor by retiring from acting after he shot this film. I mean, at the end of the movie, he's running around in a fucking carrot suit because he's playing bait for the Beaster Bunny, so Brenda can shoot it a few times with a shotgun. Yeah, that happened in this movie. And yeah, I know some people are like, oh, it's one of those movies you get together, you have a beer, and you get high, and you laugh. I don't do any of those things, and for me, if I have to do something extra for me to enjoy something, then that's not something that's enjoyable. Why? I don't understand this rise of like, I'm gonna kick back some beers with my friends and smoke some pot, and then we'll watch a bad movie, and then it's gonna be a good time. I don't get it. I don't understand it. So maybe I don't do it. But here's my thing, I don't mind So Bad It's Good movies like The Room or Hard Rock Zombies or some other stuff like that, or Troll 2 or Silent Night Deadly Night 2. But they all have a lot in common with the fact that, you know what, they're actually funny. I didn't laugh one time while watching Beaster Day. There was nothing that was funny to me about this movie. The satire was just lame. Just another half-assed parody of Jaws with the mayor, and didn't really do much to poke fun at the horror genre or the holidays or holiday movies. So it was lazy in that regard. And then you just had tons and tons of bad CGI gore and bad acting. Like, who thought this was a good idea? And why would you make a movie that, for an audience that would have to be fucking baked or drunk off their ass to appreciate it anyway? What? Why? Why waste your time? Why waste your effort? Why waste the money that you raised in Kickstarter? Yeah, this movie apparently got a good chunk of its funding from Kickstarter. I hope those people who kickstarted this movie or helped kickstart this film got their money back. Because they sure as hell didn't get their money's worth with this piece of shit. I mean, for cinematography and editing, all these other technical standpoints, it gets a fucking F. It fails miserably. I can't even really think of that many things about it that were worthwhile. Like I said, the stop motion puppet was kind of charming at times, but it got old after a while because you kept seeing it, and each time you saw it, it got more and more fake and became more and more pathetic. So yeah, I'm out of breath. I'm exasperated. I'm out of thoughts. I really don't have that much else to say about this movie. I have nothing. I'm empty. I'm spent. If I were to rate it out of 5 stars, a half a star out of 5 for the stop motion at times. That's really it. Other than that, it's just not a very entertaining movie. It's not enjoyable. It's just one of those films where it's just like, why? Why is this a thing? And why was this made? And why did I fucking watch this? But anyway, thank you for watching this rant. I hope you enjoyed it. And once again, I hope you have a wonderful Easter and a happy holidays going forward. And definitely avoid this one. Like, just don't even bother. It is not worth it. It's just a giant rabbit turd. Just avoid it. Just stay away.